Hello, welcome to this video. Welcome back to anyone who's returning, to anyone who's joining me for the first time. Thanks so much for spending some of your time here. I have something a little bit different for you today. The other day I was looking through a lot of videos on my phone and old pictures and stuff to try to clear some of it out to make space, and I came across a video from 2018. Well, here, I'll just play it for you. I'll just play a little clip here. Okay, so you're probably like, what the heck is that? So basically what I wanted to do, what this video is it's the earliest recording that I can find of my song City Sidewalks. And I saw it and saw the date. It's from April of 2018. And it struck me how long it's taken this song to sort of come together. It's sort of a journey. And basically, what I wanted to do was take some time to sort of tell the story of this song, because it's interesting to break down not only the songwriting process, like how does the song come together, what's going on in the writer's life, and how is that sort of borne out in the music and the lyrics, but also the actual production of the song. How does it get done, and what goes into the final product. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to tell you the story of this song. I'm going to tell you the story about all the different iterations it's been through. And I hope it's interesting. So to sort of kick things off, I should tell you, I moved to New York City with my partner Scout in May of 2017, like a week after we graduated from school. And we moved into our first apartment with a bunch of friends of ours from school. It must have been July of that year. We were living in a 4-bedroom apartment. There were 5 of us sharing it. And so that's sort of the reason for this strange angle in this video, and we'll take another look at it in a minute, is that it was the only place in the apartment I could find any peace and quiet. I was in the bathroom. And I had set my phone up on the sort of shelf over the toilet because I needed a place to, not only was I recording the music so that I would remember how it goes, but if you'll notice, it's very focused on my left hand because I had to remember what I was doing. So let's back up. So it's 2017, and I get my first professional performing job playing Paul Simon in the Simon and Garfunkel Story, and I go on tour in the fall, and it's a roller coaster. It is astoundingly difficult. It's not really what I was imagining it would be. I studied as an actor in school. Music came along for me before acting, and sort of persisted through my experience in school in studying theater. It's always been a part of my life, but I sort of, at that point in my life, was focused a lot on theater. And so I get this job doing a touring show, and I go into it thinking this is going to be like a huge theater thing. It was great, steady money, and it turns out that it wasn't what I was expecting. And so expectation is a lot for me as a person. So I found it very difficult. I was gone for 10 weeks, so 2.5 months away from Scout, on the road. There were some personality clashes during that first tour for me. It just made it a difficult experience. And I came back to New York, I think in December of 2017, and was, kind of thrown for a loop. And that's kind of a strange time to find a day job. So I was sort of unemployed for a while there into the next year. But one thing that did, it was a great experience, and I ended up going back again the next year because it was so much fun. But one of the sort of fringe benefits of playing in a show every night where you're, sort of like the band leader playing acoustic guitar, is your acoustic guitar skills improve. In fact, looking back at 2017, I don't know how I got that job, because there was so much that I couldn't do that feels commonplace to me as a player now. And so City Sidewalks, the reason that this video is so close on my left hand is because this was the hardest thing I'd ever written, this riff at the time. And I was like, I have to remember how to do this because I don't think I'll be able to go back into my brain again. So I'll just play for you that whole clip. It's only about 45 seconds, or maybe I'll just play part of it. So here we are in my bathroom, and I have this shot tight on my left hand, to try to remember what I was doing. There's the middle finger. I think the top comment on the YouTube video that I posted of this song is like, did you just flick me off? And looking at it, that is just what it looks like. Not my intention though, I promise. You'll also notice that I have the guitar capoed here. I think it's on the third capo. That's one of the things that was a challenge with this song was I knew I loved the riff, and the riff hasn't changed much. And I had lyrics that have, like I had that sort of seed, the city sidewalks changed the way I feel about the rain, but it was a matter of finding what I was going to do vocally on top of it. And a lot of that for me as a songwriter is finding where I'm going to play it on the guitar so that it sits in my voice properly, but also like where in your voice you're trying to write a song from affects the melodies, at least for me, that I come up with. If I'm singing something that's in like a very comfortable register for me, there's a lot of options. Whereas something like this, the city sidewalks change the way, that's like high in my register, so I didn't have a lot of options. But the problem is, if I were to bring the capo up the neck, the guitar part loses a lot of character because it's got this real sort of organic warmth to it when it's played lower down the neck. The riff is so nice and warm and cozy, which is what I love about it, for the sort of theme of the song. It's a song about missing home and finding a new meaning of home, and sort of longing for this feeling of safety and belonging that you have as a kid. So I wanted it to have that warm feeling, and the farther I moved it up the neck, I was able to drop my voice the octave and still have it, I would not be like, the city sidewalks, but you lost the warmth in the guitar part. So a lot of it for me was just finding where am I going to do it, and what am I going to be singing? So that eventually did come together. So that's in April 2018. So months go by. I'm living in New York. I guess I should tell you that the like idea for the actual lyrics of the song is very obvious. I was literally walking from one of my day jobs to the train after having finished a day of work, and I felt kind of that sort of exhausted, lost, sort of soulless feeling that you feel when you're tired but you don't feel fulfilled. And the rain was coming down, and I was sitting there grumbling to myself as I was, making my way to the train as fast as I could, just grumbling and just looking at the sidewalk, trying to keep my head down because my glasses get wet in the rain. And the thought just popped into my head that like I used to love rain, and now it's such a pain in the butt. And I'm looking at the sidewalk. And so that first line, the city sidewalks change the way I feel about the rain, is so literal. And that was the seed that opened up the rest of the lyrics. So anyway, so moving on, then fast forward to when I posted the YouTube video in December of that same year, 2018, and was very grateful for the response that I received because a lot of people really enjoyed it, and that was very, fulfilling and heartwarming, and I'm glad that it reached out to other people. And so then we will jump forward again to March of this year, 2020. Scout and I are in Virginia with my in-laws. We have fled New York because of the coronavirus pandemic, and we're sort of trying to figure out what to do with ourselves. Scout is a writer, a playwright, and a tremendously good one. And I, sort of having thought of myself as an actor, but also flirting more with music as a profession because I've been doing this music tour for years now. And I've always wanted to record an album. And so one day I'm walking the dog, Bowie, and it kind of hit me. And it wasn't an excitement necessarily. I was like, oh man, I have to record an album. And the reason that it was that is because I knew how much work was going to go into it, because I knew this thing is going to go on for months. And this is really like the chance that I have, because in New York, I'm so busy just trying to stay afloat that it would take me 10 years to put out a single album the way that I'm doing this one. So that I knew in that moment how long it was going to take. So my first move was I have a good friend named Danny who I went to school with, who's a recording engineer and a drummer. I just kind of like reached out to him, and he was super kind enough to help me figure out like what basic gear I would need to record a demo. So I started doing that, ordered all this gear, And I sent this song, or an early demo of this song, to Josh Turner to listen to. And so let me play you just a little bit of that early demo now.
The city sidewalks change the way I feel about the rain. From cowering in the corner as it beats the window pane, I clutch into my mother's arms through the thunder's dark refrain. The city sidewalks change the way I feel about the rain. The subway system changed the way I feel about.
So one thing I'll point out about this demo is, I don't know anything about recording, and I know even less about EQ and mixing and post-production and all that stuff. And so when you listen to this demo, you can hear, first of all, I'm pretty sure you can hear, if you listen very closely, the click in the background, which is just a noob recording move, mistake. And you can also hear that there's no like processing on it. It sounds almost kind of dull, but like sort of simple.
The thunderous applause falling from that old tin roof. And oh, I try to tell ya, but the truth.
But you can also hear that the guitar part's a little bit better than it was back in 2018. So I send that to Josh. Mostly, it's a combination because I wanted to get his advice on recording, making sure it sounded good. Because it didn't need to sound perfect because it's just a demo. It just needs to be the set tempo and the set structure. So Josh sent me a bunch of notes. He had a long conversation with me where he sort of walked me through how to use this program that I was using, and like some sort of simple basic things to do to do like a little bit of basic EQ to the demo to make it sound a little nicer. And one thing he said was, this is a great song. I think it's too long. It's almost 7 minutes. And while it's beautiful, it can't be a 7-minute song. It's like too long that way. And so he advised me to pick one of the verses and cut it. And in the original YouTube video, I believe there are 2 verses, and each verse is 2 stanzas, like 2 sort of chunks. And I thought about it, and it's a song that means so much to me, and I thought all the verses were really good, but I decided he was really right. One thing I've been learning during this process is editing, deciding what to keep and what to get rid of, what's necessary and what's unnecessary. Like with this particular sort of lyrical style, it's not like a story. It's basically like the singer expounding on an emotional experience. And so it's less clear how far you have to go. Like if you have like a story, the story has an arc and an ending, and then you're like, okay, great. So the song has to be this long, or it's not done yet. Oh, it's done like here because the story's over. But with this, you have to figure out as the lyricist, like how much do I need to add in order for this emotional process to be clear, and then how much of it is too much. Like I'm belaboring the point basically, because you also want it to be concise. And so I eventually did. I kind of think the second stanza of the second verse, I believe it was, the city sidewalks changed the way I feel about my home. From sword fights on the picnic table and answering the phone, I'm going through my old routines I'm just going through alone. The city sidewalks changed the way I feel about my home. A small chunk taken out, but it really tightened the song the way that it needed to be. And so then I recorded a new demo of the new version. And that's one of my favorite things about Josh, is he's got such a sharpened sense of music and lyric writing and structure, and he's just willing to tell you what he thinks of something, and it's just great because you can rely on him to totally come through with that honesty. So then I have a fixed structure for the song, and I know the tempo hasn't changed, but I had to re-record the demo. That brings us to the next part of the process, where I sent the demo to the band guys from the Simon & Garfunkel story, who had graciously agreed to track their instruments on this record with me, which is awesome because I have to be so grateful to them, because not only I'm not sending them charts, I'm not sending them music to play. I'm saying, can you guys collaborate with me? I need you to write your own parts. I need you to record your own parts. And as they send them to me, I'll send them notes, like, I like this, I don't like this, can it be more like this? this part you do here, it's not working, it's clashing with this, and they re-record it, and they've been so gracious with this process. And that's one of the other things I wanted to talk to you guys about, is that process of collaboration, keeping certain things, getting rid of certain things. From the beginning, I wanted this song to have an organic sort of feel. I wanted to be able to sort of sense the vibration of strings. And so the first thing I was thinking about doing was hiring a banjo player and a mandolin player and doing a full sort of bluegrass approach to it. Another gorgeous approach, the ideas that these musicians have are just astounding. Josh Vasquez, who's playing the guitar parts on all the songs, not only guitar but also mandolin, and he's great. But he tried something out. He's always sending like, I don't know if this is gonna work, but does this work for you? And he sent a version of the musical break in the middle of the song where he's playing guitar a la Pat Metheny. Pat Metheny is one of my favorites. My dad and mom, both my parents, love Pat Metheny and Lyle Mays. We grew up listening to it in the car. And so I'm going to play for you now sort of the little chunk of the song that Josh sent with a Pat Metheny sort of spin on it. And so I hope you enjoy this.
The city sidewalks change the way I feel about my...
Just awesome. And as soon as I heard that, I was like, that's the direction we have to go, because that's so gorgeous. What he's doing there is so beautiful, and I love that Pat Metheny sound. And even though it's not what I was initially considering for the song, it was so beautiful. But it's a prime example of something that, it's the hard job of the songwriter or the writer, really of anything, the creator of something, is to edit out things that you love, to sort of kill your darlings. Oh, hey, that's a thing. And so that guitar part ended up not being in the song, and I'll sort of explain why as we get to it. Another thing that we tried was Mark and Cabo, the bass player on the record, also plays upright bass, and when I found that out, I was like, oh, let's try that. And so here's an early cut of an upright bass track that he did.
The subway system changed the way I feel about the rain. And oh, I miss Virginia. The thunderous applause falling from that old tin roof.
So obviously that's a early, I think that's a one-off take he did, just to be like, how do you like the sound of this? And obviously that sound of that upright bass is just sort of that sort of tactile string sound that I love and was looking for. It does lack a little bit of the momentum that this song brings. But that brings us to the huge step forward that we took with this song. Hold on one second. Let me open this shade a little bit. Get a little bit more light here. If I can. Ooh, there we go. Sorry about that. So we've talked about Josh Vasquez. We've talked about Josh Turner. We've talked about Mark and Cabo. And I don't have the demo here because I think it was deleted, but Bob Sale, the drummer, also tried to do this sort of constant fill. If you know the song Last Train Home by Pat Metheny, because this was, again, riffing on this Pat Metheny idea that Josh Vasquez had, Last Train Home has this train beat that's going the whole time. And so we tried to do that for this song. And we took it in that direction as far as we could. And then something wasn't working. We didn't feel like it was working. And Alec, out of the blue, Alec Hamilton is the keys player, just sent us all a link to, he was like, hey, I love this song, and I arranged it how I hear it, how I would love to hear it. And it was astounding. And it was creative. And I was, in assembling all of these little tidbits and stuff, I was going through our collective drive, and there's he must have 15 or 20 different elements that he's juggling at the same time in this song. And it's so good. And one of them is a great example. The approach that he took was to have it very soft and very subtle strings, and we'll play you that in a moment here. But one of the sort of out of the box ideas that he had was going into the second verse out of that first chorus, having this huge sort of groundswell feeling. And so he initially programmed all this stuff. He had programmed strings, he had programmed guitar, and then Josh Vasquez went through and added his sort of guitar. So here's an insert.
The city sidewalks filled with a new kind of regret. Remorse for all the things I've done and all I haven't yet.
So, in all honesty, it sounds like a bit much like that. But this is sort of to highlight certain elements of the song. So when you listen to the finished product, there's a little bit more knowledge about what's going on. And so I was like, this is it. Like, this is perfect. Alec's arrangement was just exactly what the song needed, I think. And so we handed it off to Josh Turner to mix. And Josh went, the strings sound nice because they're programmed. Let me just adjust the light here. I think it's that's better. That's better. And Josh Turner said, what would really pump this up is getting a cellist to play the part and then using the sort of MIDI strings, I don't know if it's MIDI or not, to sort of fill in the gaps. And so that's what we did. And Josh mixed it, and I'm really, really proud of what came out. But it just goes to show the long story of a song, like the life of a song. It takes so long. I never would have been able to write this song if it had not been for touring with the Simon & Garfunkel Story in 2017, improving my guitar skills. And the first notes of this song were written in the early months of 2018. And now, all this time later, it'll probably be officially released in the next few months. 2.5 years later, it's finally coming to fruition through this enormous collaboration with all these astounding musicians. And so this is what I want to do with the last few minutes of this video. I know you've been here a long time, and I appreciate your time so much, but I just want to share with you sort of a sneak peek of one of the sort of final products of this album that'll be coming out of mine, My Father Before Me. This isn't the final mix necessarily, but it's extremely close. And so now, without further ado, I present to you City Sidewalks by Taylor Bloom, as performed by the men of the Simon & Garfunkel Story, as they'll come to be known. And I think you're really going to enjoy it. So let's listen together.
City sidewalks change the way I feel about the rain. From cowering in the corner as it beats the window pane, or clutching to my mother's arms through the thunder's dark refrain. The city sidewalks change the way I feel about the rain. The subway system changed the way I feel about the rain. From fighting lightning demons back until they all were slain, or trying to keep my t-shirt dry and sprinting through in vain. The subway system changed the way I feel about the rain. And oh, I miss Virginia, the thunderous applause falling from that old tin roof. And oh, I try to tell ya, but the truth is that I can't recall the truth. The city sidewalks filled me with a new kind of regret. Remorse for all things I've done and all I haven't yet. I've lost myself in tears so many times that I forget. The city sidewalks filled me with a new kind of regret. And oh, I miss Virginia, the thunderous applause falling from that old tin roof. And oh, I try to tell ya, but the truth is that I can't recall the truth. The sidewalks and the subway system changed the way I feel about my youth. The city sidewalks change the way I feel about my heart. From innocence to ignorance and feeling torn apart, to stepping back and wondering if I should just restart. The city sidewalks change the way I feel about my heart. And oh, I miss my bunk beds and going through my life knowing I had more than me. And I'm not giving up yet, but damn, it can be hard to fall so free. Sidewalks and the subway system try to teach me who I want to be.
So that is a long, long journey that went into to what we all just listened to. And I'm just astounded and so grateful for the collaboration of these people I'm working with. That's just it means so much to be sharing a creative space with people that I have so much respect for, and to feel that they have some desire to share a creative space with me means so much, that they listen to these songs and think that there's something to them. Or maybe it's just that they just like hanging out with me and they want to collaborate with me. Like, that's great too. They're just great friends and great musicians and ingenious creators. And it's on display right there for you, So much went into that. So much collaboration. And I'm just so proud of how it turned out, and so grateful to be working on this with these fine musicians. So anyway, I thought that might be an interesting story. I know it's been a long video, but it's a long story, getting to sort of where we are today. My whole goal with this channel and with this content is to just provide a small place where all of you and myself as well can find a little bit of peace and calm and quiet on the internet, which is normally a very wild place. So I hope that goal is being fulfilled, and I hope that you are enjoying this, and I'm so grateful to you for being here and for sharing in this journey with me and with these amazing musicians. And I look forward to the next time I get to share something with you. So thank you for being here. I hope you have a great day.